As you see, I'm inviting you to my home. Here is where I live, actually. And
Very nice, wonderful. I can see the brushes behind you
yes,
and the
I'm
paint.
actually I'm actually planning to make a huge painting. So it was interesting connection. I will show you. It's on my floor. You see this?
Wow,
Yeah,
big, eh?
it's 2.5 meters
Wow.
and 1.5 meters high. And I want to make it's like I want to make a window so I get the feeling of more space. It's a small apartment. I'm very happy with the size of this place, but I just had the feeling I want a big window. And so with the painting, you can create the illusion of space.
Yes, wonderful. And you have Daddy Yankee behind you, which is a nice
Yes.
picture. And she's
Yes.
looking at you and us. And we feel her vibration from here.
Very good. And so I was thinking about this topic, creativity. It's interesting that in the poster, I don't know if everyone saw the poster in the advertisement for the program, but it was with, painting and illustration and these kind of things that we often relate to creativity. But creativity is not only fine arts, but most of us, we start to think about music and painting and sculpture and writing. But if we think about creativity, what it is, it means it means the ability to think out of the box, to think beyond the traditional, to think, to see things from a different perspective. And so it's not only about what you create with your hands or what ideas you have, but it's about, first of all, your attitude and your thinking process. And I feel and creativity is not you are born with it or you don't have it. Creativity belongs to everyone, is part of life, is part of human nature. And Baba often says, Baba is the big creator, and he calls us master creators. And so it's in our nature to be creative. But then there are things that can make us feel shy or limited in our ability to think outside of the box, to see a bigger picture, to see things from a different perspective. And so fear is a very common block in creativity, fear of what other people thinks, or fear of being judged is typical. When it comes to when you paint like I do, I'm very used to this feeling of, when you have a white paper, to begin, the white paper in itself can be threatening. It's like the white paper is saying, don't destroy me. It must be good now. Don't waste material. And these kind of thoughts, it numbs the ability to be creative. So one has to overcome that feeling or has to act in spite of those feelings coming up. What I was thinking about when it comes to creativity and spirituality is about churning. I think it's very common when we have read the Murli that after the Murli we often say we share points after the Murli. What point did I pick from the Murli? And that's one level, like maybe I appreciate something Baba said in the Murli, but Baba is encouraging us to churn. And the image of churning is to create butter from cream. And in the process of creating butter from cream, I have to work with it. I have to churn it. I have to whip it. I have to activate my intellect over what Baba said. And that takes courage. So often I feel that when it comes to the time of churning knowledge, it's easy to repeat something Baba said and just repeat it. And I'm sort of on the safe side. No one can criticize me or judge me. But in order to learn something more about what Baba is saying, I need to open up the point. I need to look at it from different perspectives. I need to have questions. I need to ask myself, what does this mean, this point? So like we have been, for this month, we are studying, especially, or being encouraged, especially to experience the bodiless stage. But what is it really? How can I experience a bodiless stage? It's easy to just keep an idea in my mind, but how can I do to get an experience of the bodiless stage? And so it's not enough to say my point from today was the bodiless stage and I will go home and practice. Because it often then stops there. I just said I will go home and practice, and then maybe I have my traffic controls. But what happens during traffic control? Am I just thinking about the point? Am I just, how do I activate my thinking process and my feelings so I can go into that experience in different ways? And I think that needs creativity. And so creativity is something that can be trained. So on one hand, we all have the ability, but we can also see around us that some people are more creative and some people are less. But it doesn't need to stay like that. Some are used to use their creative ability more. It's more part of their habits. And some are maybe afraid of using it, or have been afraid of using it, and have been taking the safe route. When you do what everyone else is doing, or you just follow the safe path, then you're not using that muscle, you can say. It's like a muscle that needs to be worked on. And so I was looking up a little bit, preparing for this program, and I know that in Walt Disney, in the artist that works with Walt Disney, they are famous for their imagination. And they have often been accused for using substances, because when people see their creations, some of the films that they create is not only the long films that we maybe all know about, but there may be many short films also. And even if you see the film Fantasia, it's very unusual ideas. And so the artists in Disney company have often been accused for using some substance, like narcotics, to get these ideas. And they say people don't understand that you can train your imagination. You can expand your imagination. You can increase it with training. And so I was looking up what kind of training did Disney company do? How have they been practicing? And so I'll take up my notes here so I remember. But so one of the things is that the two main things that they are using, and brainstorming is one. So Disney has a creative strategy for brainstorming that separates three different, you can say, ways of brainstorming, or different phases of brainstorming. And one is to dream. It's like to think freely. Anything is possible. No limitations. And then another phase is to bring it, if like you can say castle in the air, but then to bring it down into some concrete. And so it's called to be a realist. How can we make this dream into something realistic? And then the third phase is critic. It's like to look at it. What is useful here and what is not useful? Because that both things will be there. And it's part of the process. So if you want to find something new, you have to invite like mistakes or things that will not be useful. It's part of the creative process. And so in a way, it also reveals what can block us. If we want to, we learn from Baba's Murli that Baba says very often, don't waste your time. And so if I take this idea of not wasting my time in a very literal sense, it can make me afraid of not using every moment in a very useful way. And that blocks creativity. Because if we talk about these phases of training, of brainstorming that the Disney artists use, the dreamer is where you invite everything, any idea. But you know from the beginning that among those ideas, many of them will then be cancelled. But because of you inviting everything, you will find the jewels. You will find something specific that you can use. And so it's part of the process. And that's why when you go to the critical phase, it's like when you sort. Now this will not use, this will not use, but this is working for this particular project. But maybe some of the ideas that were not useful now, you might even save them for another time. So it's like a training to think. And the other part is imagination. And so they say that the process starts with a focus on imagination and out of the box thinking before moving into more consensus based approach to develop the final storyline. So again, it's about this imagination, of course, goes into the dreamer phase. And he has 5 principles. So there are 5 things that are of key importance for an animator working with Disney. So one is to believe. You tell me if I talk too fast, I try to slow down. So one is to believe, and that means to expand your mind and to be free to be creative. It goes into the dreamer phase, right? And the other principle, collaborate. It's only by sharing ideas that they get better. And so they are trained to collaborate. And very often, when you work with, as an artist, it's easy to don't want to share my ideas in case somebody doesn't like it. And then I get lonely and I don't get challenged and I don't expand my thinking. And so those artists working for Disney cannot sit alone in a corner and decide, because it's collaboration. The whole filmmaking is a big collaboration work, which is interesting because the typical artist profile is an individualist. So you have individualists working together. And the other is something called, an English word that is new for me, is called iterate. But that means to learn and improve. And that often is to work, come back to it. It's like a circular working. You work, you come back to it, you refine it, you come back, you think about it again. So it's a circular thinking. To learn and improve and not be afraid of criticism or making mistakes or failures, all of these things that blocks creativity. And the fourth principle is risk. So without taking a risk, you can't create anything new. And so I'm thinking, when we hear about this, and think about learning to churn Baba's knowledge, to see new perspectives. If I just want to be safe and be accurate in the view of others, I will say exactly what Baba said in the Murli, so I am not risking of being judged or making a mistake. But if I can't put my own words to try to explain to myself or explore what Baba means, but what he's saying, then my mind cannot open to new perspectives. And it might be that the risk, a real risk I'm taking, I don't really understand what Baba is saying. And so churning to open up to compare with my own personal experiences, to compare with what some writer has said, some memory of something that happened in the past, to compare and elaborate with it is important. And it's risk involved. I might misunderstand. But if I can be open to that, then I will also discover, oh no, it's not like this, but it's like this. So the path will also be clearer. And then the fifth principle in Disney is to complete. And that means to be careful not to end up with loose ends. So it means it's easy, if you are a creative person, just to come up with ideas, but can I also complete the idea? Can I bring my idea into some practical action? Can I finish my work? So that's also part of the training. But we are talking about art, and I said in the beginning that creativity goes into all fields of innovation. So creativity, to a very high degree, researchers, science is full of creativity, technology is full of creativity. People invent new physical things and solutions because this ability to think outside the box. So it's very much to be open-minded and curious, and not being so focused on results, but be focused on discovery. So what do I discover? And I feel in creativity there is joy. And so playfulness is such an important element to be able to be creative. Can I play? Baba often says, play with the jewels of knowledge. Do we play with them, or do we take them dead serious? Do we use them to, knock our own heads, to remind myself of my own weakness, to repeatedly, it can be very deep habits. But so we see children are in general usually more playful and creative than grown-ups, because I think as we grow up, we take on a lot of heavy messages that make us afraid of making mistake, and that in itself inhibits us from being creative. And so creativity is also I'm thinking, criminals are often extremely creative. If in the world of criminality, you find so many very interesting ways how people can commit crime. And if they were not creative, it wouldn't be possible. If we look at computers, the development of computers is one thing, but then you have the hackers. So the developers define systems to make our computers safe, and then the hackers override that. And I think many who get involved in hacking are not doing it because they are criminal at heart, but I think for many it's dopamine rush. It's like a kick to solve a problem. So there is creativity in that. And we have figures like Sherlock Holmes, extremely creative. And because he's able to think out of the box, he is discovering things that others are not discovering. And he's overriding these creative criminals by being even more creative in his thinking himself. So creativity very much goes back to my thinking, to my open-mindedness, and to my curiosity and being interested. I spoke to one of the sisters here today, or I chatted with her today, and I told her that we would do this program tonight. And she told me that she's an artist herself, by the way, and she knows many artists. But what she told me was that one of the most creative people she ever met is a woman sitting behind, cashier in a shop where you buy food. When you go out and you pay, you have someone sitting and taking the money and making all the calculations. And she said in the shop where she used to live, there was a woman. It was a small shop. There was a woman sitting in that desk, and she said she was so amazing because she had seen so many scenes, people coming to this woman with so many different complications and problems, and there were many different situations. And she said that she had the most remarkable ways of solving and finding solutions for so many different situations. And so she was also listening to the customer. And she was open-minded and interested to solve the problem. While what you might find in shops sometimes is that the people who are standing behind the cashier, the people who take money, they get very irritated when customers are coming with problems. But this woman, it was part of her every day, and she played with it. And so I find it interesting to think about creativity in that way. One thing I would like to share with you is there's one brother in Germany. I don't know many of you know Brother Hans Werner, but he has been with Baba for many, many years. I think he came 1982, 83, maybe same time like me. And I've known him from all these years. He was helping when I lived in Denmark, when we started things there, and very good brother, very hardworking. And we met, maybe it can be 20 years ago now, in Ahmedabad, and we had been in Madhuban, both of us. And we were sitting, everyone was sleeping. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We were returning back and we were waiting for a flight. And only we two were awake. And so we chatted about our experience in Madhuban. And then he said, I'm a little bit worried about going back because I feel I lose this feeling, this intoxication when I go back and things gets ordinary and it's only work in front of me and like that. And I cannot remember for what reason I asked him, but I remember asking him if he liked to paint. And then he said, actually I do, but it was a long time ago. And so I just said, I don't know why I said, I didn't have a big thought about it or any expectation. It just came out. I said, why don't you, start painting again to have a hobby, some interest? And he said, yeah, maybe I should. And I forgot about that. And a couple of years later, he started to send me pictures. He started painting. He really took that idea to his heart. But what I really enjoyed, and he has kept sending me paintings. He has kept paintings since that day. And painting has given him so much joy. And even I've seen him in Madhavan, in the afternoon tea, and everyone gathers at 4 o'clock. So people sit down by the tables and they chat with their chai. And I looked around a few years ago and someone had occupied a whole table with paint and colors and was painting in the middle of everyone else. And that was Hans Werner. And I feel because he is not concerned about what anyone thinks, he only does it for himself, and he's really thinking outside the box. The kind of paintings he is doing is so interesting and so personal, and I feel he's a very good example of taking to heart creativity, and it works for him because he doesn't do it to perform and get the feedback from outside. He does it for himself. He told me that even he gives away paintings here and there. He even put painting outside his entrance door. On the door he hangs a painting so his neighbors can see it too. And I would like to share. I made um, uh, I compiled a lot of paintings that he did that he sent me, and I would like to share that with you so you can see what can a Brahmin do. Because often we think, oh, if I should paint, I have to make angels, I have to make golden age things, it has to be lovely, and that can be very blocking because creativity is not about doing something that the world wants and that what the world expects from you. You have to do it from your heart. So I think he is an excellent example of that. So is it okay if I share?
Yes, of course, you can share.
Very good. So let me see. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Very good. So actually I created this because we had an art retreat in Brazil last summer, so I wanted to show them. So I was happy I had this. Let me see if I can find that. I have to find a way to get to that. So here, so this is typical what he can do. And as you see, not only like that, here is the side of it. All you need is love. He's writing on the side. And here, I just love this painting. So here, he has a knack of using, images of famous people, film stars. You might see it's actually Paul McCartney on the top who is pulling aside the picture for Golden Age. So you see the Golden Age, he's opening the, oh, I don't know what you call this, the whatever it's called. And then you have John Lennon at the bottom, and you see it says Abbey Road. But the Beatles were famous for an album called Abbey Road. And in that, there's a famous picture of Beatles when they walk on these, the marks over the street. And so he's using it, Abbey Road, and you go to heaven. It's just, I find it so interesting. And then he can do like this, and he's using, he take pictures. So here he has another picture of Paul McCartney. So Paul McCartney is one of his people he really likes, or artists he really likes. And then some sister he knows. So he's using these pictures. So he paints, he used them so he can see how to paint. And just, it's for me, this is totally out of the box. And here come together, and this is with glasses. These glasses symbolizes something. It's for the glasses you will find in many of his paintings. And he says, painting is about seeing. What do I see? What do I, how do I see things? And here is just a Christmas painting. My telephone is calling. I'll just turn it off. So, and then, let me see here. This one, you see the tiger is lying on the side, and then someone is standing and she's holding glasses. Again, the glass is coming, and this is circus tent. It's the most unusual compilation of ideas. And you see the trees, this autumn is coming, and then the hand who is painting the tent. So the tent is being created. And another, this is most interesting. This is Daddy Kumarka, Daddy Prakashmani, throwing golden seeds to someone before Gyan, smoking a cigarette, and Daddy has faith in everyone. This Daddy means a lot, has meant so much for our transformation. And I just laughed when I saw this. And this, he says, he didn't think about himself, but it actually looks like him. It looks like a self-portrait. And this one, here you have, she's standing, this goddess or wherever, is standing outside a shed. And there comes Krishna on a tiger. And the tree here is burning, whatever that means. But he just does this for his own enjoyment. And here's a dark one, with the lights coming on the side. It's like he's exploring and seeing what's happening. If I do this, what's happening? And then crime of the century. I don't know what he means, but you have I think it's about eating meat, I suppose. Because you see the bull down there. And down below here is the Shiva, the dancing Shiva. But crime of the century, probably he's got it from some film or whatever he's seen or heard, or if it's a song, I don't know. And this one is so lovely. See the golden field, and Krishna is opening, and it looks like a very typical, this could be in Sweden or in Germany, it's very typical, this fence out of wood. But then as you go in, it becomes something So amazing. It's really like going into golden age. And then on the tree, you have a woodpecker who is making a little heart in the tree. I love these details. And here just something he liked to do, a boat by a lake. So I feel again, he does it because he just likes to do it. And there is no intention to impress, so he hasn't to go anywhere specific. And can we be generous with ourselves like that? And I'm seeing that because he's doing this, I think it's really also supported him in his Brahmin life. And then we hear some Van Gogh inspired Christmas painting with people are skating at the bottom. Most unusual. And then here, with the squirrel is hidden inside in the kitchen. And apparently the squirrel has eaten a little bit of the cake here. And here we see Sophia Loren and a lion and whatever that meant. And you see the viaduct, so Italian or the Roman. I think that's maybe because she's Italian or that he has some connection. I don't know. I haven't asked him what is the meaning of all this. And she is, Baba often says about arrow hits the target. So she is an archer and she is having this arrow here also. And I think this one he got sold. One of his painting, he hasn't been thinking to sell it, and somebody was interesting and he got sold good money. And you see here is the film roll. Now this one got sold. Here she is again. And then you have Krishna over here. Krishna is disappearing among the here in the woods. And here the fire is burning and the eyes in the trees. She looks like a goddess. And here is a self-portrait. Here is himself. And I don't know if it's himself playing, but I think so. And somebody is sitting here, I don't know what he's doing, maybe different levels. So you have Krishna up here and somebody standing, whatever it means, and then an angel, and then I forgot what his name is, Dean. James Dean is here. James Dean out of all the people of the world. Krishna, James Dean, a self-portrait, and you also have a cobra at the bottom. So must have some very personal meaning. Here you have James Dean and a bird, an owl. And this one is very special with the light, how she's pouring light. So the world is very dark and she has this bucket of golden light. And then when somebody keeps walking here, light in all the steps. Light is here also. See the moon upstairs. And this one is most interesting. Salvador Dali. And he said he was so disappointed with this painting at first. He didn't know what to do. And then, because he also works sometimes with a woman who is good at teaching painting, and she suggested he put something else here. And then he got the idea to put Salvador Dali here, and the picture got so interesting. And you see the clocks, Salvador's clock is at the bottom. Time. Again, You see the topics, and then the horse running in the behind. We have Vishnu and owls. I go a little bit fast now. So here again, this artist who just left the body, I forgot his name, Robert Redford, he's looking in a mirror and he's smiling at death. I mean, how do you get these ideas? He's smiling at death and something is happening behind here and the sun is coming. It's just interesting. And here is how he is painting. This is Hans Werner sitting in it. And it's very simple. He doesn't need a lot, you know. He has his painting, he has a little bit of things. He doesn't make a big thing of it, but he's so creative. And this is him meeting Baba in, I think, 1984 or something. So I just wanted to show some example of creativity where a Brahmin is creative. Just looking if there's anything. So I'll end it here, stop it there. And I just want to say one thing more about churning. You know, Francois from France and Mike George from England and Anthony Phillips, Denise's brother. They told me, it was quite a few years ago, that they used to meet together to churn together in sort of extreme ways. They said that, you know, when some children are very curious, so if they get a clock, you know, an alarm clock, they open up the clock to see what's inside. It's very common, you know. You want to open and see what's inside. And they said they used to play with Murli and Murli points together, the three of them, in ways that other Brahmins would think, you know, you can't think like that. It's not, you know. But I thought that's very refreshing. And I'm thinking also Mike George says that the only reason why he's writing his books is because of his need to churn. So it's only based on churning. He said, I'm just writing for my own sake, and this is what comes out of it. And so, yeah, I think I will finish there and see if there are any questions and if or comments or things, ideas that you have. What comes to your mind? Why are you interested in this topic?
So, Lotta, everything that you shared are really very powerful, and we have to think, starting being outside of the box and think about outside of the box, because I also used to paint a lot, and well, now not so often, but I'm not thinking outside of the box. But yes, that was a good idea to start again painting with,
Mm, mm.
especially I have a big canvas for so many years and I cannot start doing anything on it. And I'm doing small ones. But
Yeah.
yes, it's very interesting what you share. There is a question here. Can you give an example of a Murli point you creatively churned and it brought you new insights and experiences?
Oh, what Molly points you. It happens to me a lot. And because I get the question like that, I don't know which kind of point I would choose. But you know, like what I'm thinking, I often, what happens to me, I develop interest in some topic. I come across something, often from the external world, and then I start comparing it with what Baba is saying. And so when I started study the topic of trauma, and that I came across during COVID because there were so many things online when we couldn't travel. And then I found Dr. Gabor Mate, and what he was saying was so interesting. And I thought, wow, is that possible to be like that? And I felt it challenged me because I was thinking, well, Baba is not saying like that. And so I had to compare what is Baba saying. And so that way around, I often find that Baba is actually saying that. And so I created a whole program based on and find many, many connections to what Baba is saying in the whole topic of trauma and mental health and all of these things. So I can't think of one point out of my head just because I have the camera on me and I know the time is limited. So that's why I can't remember like that. But I often have this comparison. And so like if I can say like what Gabor Mate was saying, for instance, is that in when you are traumatized, you can practice, you can have a spiritual practice, but without getting anywhere because you are sort of trapped in the circle of, so you are thinking you are practicing, but you are not actually practicing. Now I can't even remember, it's a specific expression, a spiritual bypass. He called it spiritual bypass. He also talked about that we need a connection with the body. And I was thinking, connection with the body, but we should be bodiless. How can I need? Is he really right or is he not? That is the point. Like, I'm thinking that, Baba is saying to practice going beyond the body, and we can practice in the wrong way by, it's called being in denial, to look away from what is scaring you. And then it's a way of disconnecting from your body. You'd actually disconnect from your feeling. And that becomes a block with time. And so Baba also says that we need to have courage to face. Baba says you have to look yourself in the mirror. So that means I have to connect with my feelings. And feelings are in the body. I only can, so to be bodiless and to be incorporeal has its practice, but I cannot look away from the things I also need to connect with. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if I'm thinking about Brahma Baba, his personality, he was very grounded. This is what I understand from the stories. He was very down to earth and very practical. And that's why he could also be very simple. So the more you are connected, you realize, I don't need this. I actually have to do this, what is in front of me. And so I don't know if this makes sense to your question, but yeah, that is my response.
Yes, thank you. Very nice what you said, you shared. I don't see any other questions. Um, but can you say, well, because sometimes the word bodiless and incorporeal that you mentioned, what is the difference between bodiless and incorporeal? Because in Greek, for example, we have one word for these two different English words.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I cannot say that I have authority to say which is which, but and I don't actually personally. It doesn't interest me personally to understand intellectually what is bodiless and what is incorporeal, but what is interesting for me is what is my experience and how do I go into that experience? And for me, what I feel is that to be bodiless, my thinking has to slow down. And for my thinking has to slow down, I need to feel safe. And I have to help myself to find a way to feel safe. It's only when I feel safe that my thinking starts to slow down. So one thing is, we have our mantra Om Shanti. We use it a lot. We say a lot of Om Shanti. But my question to my own heart or my own body is, am I peaceful? And if I sense inside, if I ask myself honestly, am I peaceful or what am I feeling at this moment? I can usually sense somewhere something is moving. So if I feel, for example, no, I'm a little bit worried. And if I start to track that feeling, I can see, yeah, it sits in my solar plexus. I can feel a little bit worried. And then I ask myself, okay, what is your concern? What is my concern? So I start to help myself to find what I'm worried about. So I can help myself to put that aside. Not to reject it, not to deny it, but actually embrace it. So, because I might not be able to remove that worry 100%, but I can make it less. And I think when Baba talks about honesty, he means that I turn to the feeling, I accept the feeling for what it is. I don't say, oh, I mustn't be like that. I this so many years in Gyan, this shouldn't be. Because that kind of thinking, it creates tension, and then my feeling of worry increase. And then I'm not going into incorporeal or bodiless stage. I'm getting more attached to my identity, my physical identity. So I feel my experience of being bodiless is when my mind gets very, very, very silent and very deeply trusting. And for me, it comes and goes. It's not something that's permanent. It comes and goes, but I have an influence how much I can go in that direction, how much I let other feelings take over.
Oh, thank you. Very clear. Uh, Another questions I have, because there are not any on the chat. How do we deal with brothers or sisters who have some kind of problems, mental problems? How do we deal with that in the
Acceptance.
class? In the accept.
Acceptance, yeah. I think not to worry about, because we know that, times are also pushing our karma up. The things are coming up. And we have so many different things that we are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And also, we get triggered by so many things. Also, when reading the news, Baba saying in the Murli time is short. So there are many push, 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 many buttons. And so I really need to take care of myself. And so I'm not responsible to fix others. I think that's the main thing I have to bring, because that creates a worry. Somebody is having a situation and I think I have to fix it. I cannot do that. I can be a good friend, but then I have first to be my own friend. Because a good friend doesn't mean that I come into a relationship of dependency. That will be problem. People have to face their own stuff. We know we all have to face our own stuff sooner or later. And so we can have good feelings and good wishes. And that's easy said. So I feel that is something to work on. If I feel that I'm saying I have good feelings, but I actually don't have, then I have to feel, why am I saying I have good wishes and why can I not have good wishes? And usually, I mean, my experience is that when I cannot have good wishes is because I feel threatened. And I feel threatened because I have an idea that I'm in a sort of dependency. And so it says pling here. I don't know why it says pling. But I know time is getting up. So
So, yes, that was really very interesting what you said. Actually, there are some students that they are really very, I mean, they really have serious problems. It's not psychological, but it's
mm,
really mental problems. And they can cause, I mean, troubles in the
mm,
center. And
mm.
what do you do with that? I don't know. You cannot send them away or become a policeman and throw
Yeah,
them out.
yeah, I
That's
know. But I don't think there is one answer that fits everyone. I think every case is individual, and if I don't know how to do it, if I don't know what to do, I really should connect with anyone senior that I trust, that I feel I have a good relationship with, and I can explain without anyone creating bad feelings. So I definitely have the opportunity to take help. And I think one of main help is how do I put boundaries? Because I think we often mix up service with having no boundaries. And when we have no boundaries and we think we should help everyone at any time, that is a problem both for me and for other people because our relationship gets mixed up. So we definitely has a not only opportunity but it's responsibility for myself to help to create boundaries for myself so I can feel safe also. To be as Baba's helper doesn't mean I put myself at risk.
okay. Thank you. And before we finish, just one more question, and you can answer very quickly. Can you
Okay.
recommend can you recommend some movies for us?
Yeah, you mean interesting movie that you like?
Yes, that this is
Yeah, have you seen
yeah.
Ratatouille?
Of course.
That's the one movie I love.
Yeah. Disney and cartoons, I really like them, all of them.
Yeah, yeah. Now that is, I mean, now I don't have on top of my mind. There was something I saw a very beautiful movie. It's a new movie. Do you know the Moomin characters from Finland?
No.
They're very famous. A woman. She was an author. She was an artist, and there is a movie made based on her very self-biography book. And it's what was it called? It's called the Summer Island. It's called oh la la, the Summer Book. Look for the Summer Book, but it's a new movie, so to look for it now maybe it costs, or maybe, but you could probably rent it through YouTube after a while. Very beautiful, very soul soothing, and it's based on real life experience. It's very very nice. And I find it so encouraging. Glenn Close plays the main character.
Mm.
And I find it so, some movies are so soulful and not fast, but it's about relationships and she's so wise, this old woman in this film. So that I would like. That's a new one. I don't think you have seen.